Hey guys, it's Ty the TV Guy here, back with another video about Stranger Things 5 and breaking down the teaser trailer, coming up with my 7 biggest questions about the final season based on this teaser trailer we got. Before I get into my questioning and theorizing here, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content as we approach the release of Stranger Things 5 over these next 4 months. I also just posted a video about the trailer where I do a frame-by-frame breakdown and give my thoughts and commentary on that as well, so you should check that out. Okay, so my first big question is what is going on with Will? And I know this isn't going to get answered because it's going to be one of the most important plot points for the entire ending of this show. So I know we're not going to get it in the trailers beforehand as to what specifically is going on with him. You know, I, as a fan of the show for so long, don't even have really a clue what's going on with him. I mean, I have clues. I think he's going to have some type of power. I think that his psychic connection with Vecna is going to be so strong that, you know, from that psychological standpoint, he's going to have some type of advantage that he can provide for the team and, you know, supply them maybe some intelligence, kind of like we saw back in the day when he had, you know, true sight into the upside down, but maybe to an even heightened degree here because he might know how to harness it better. But I don't know why specifically stuff is happening to him that we're seeing in this trailer. We see him in the background in this picture that I'm going to pop up right here. He's like, has his eyes in the back of his head almost like rolled up as everyone else is kind of looking around, seeing what's going on. He's just standing there seemingly like possessed almost. So I don't know what's going on with that. Here I'll throw up another picture. This time it's of him literally passing out and smacking his head on the ground. I mean, what is going on with that? Obviously he's using up large amounts of energy or being overtaken by something. But why is he under so much distress? And the fact that they're giving us this much makes me feel like this is only the tip of the iceberg and that this type of stuff is going to be going on with him for a lot of the final season. So it's a basic question, and I know that I can't do a great job of answering it, but it's one that I'm going to be thinking about until the day we get our answer, which is, what the heck is going on with him? Why is all of this coming to the surface now? You know, I know he is back in Hawkins, but he was in Hawkins in season 3, and his body wasn't going crazy like this, right? I mean, the Mind Flayer was in full effect, and he was just kind of around, you know, helping the team like everybody else. Why is it affecting him so deeply now? Is it because he's stepping up to the plate and choosing to try to, like, face Vecna mentally or whatever? Or is it because Vecna and the monsters and the situation is doing something more to him than was being done in the past after, you know, it was inside of him, like in season 3, as I mentioned. So I hope that makes sense. I'm bringing up season 3 because he was still in Hawkins, you know, also at that time still had such a history with Vecna, still felt it within him, but stuff this drastic wasn't happening to him specifically, or really him at all. He could just feel the tingle, and that was about all that was going on with Will in season 3. So I'm just wondering why now in season 5 it's becoming such a problem for him. Obviously, there's going to be really intense moments, but why is he... You guys know what I'm saying. We got to get it answered. All right, so my next question is, why is the government so fixated on 11, and is she going to have to hide out from them the entire season? And I honestly have mixed feelings on this. Like, at this point, I find it hard to believe that the government still thinks 11 is part of the evil entity here and the enemy after all. It looks like, though, that, you know, her and Hopper are going to be in this underground bunker, and then you see Linda Hamilton and the other military members, her being, like, the head of the military, it seems, coming into these underground bunkers. You see these military people firing at Hopper and 11 as they duck down, as you see right here. So it appears they're still gunning after 11, full force, guns a-blazing. And I wonder if they think she is like the source of the evil or just one of the components. But I really hope in the final season at some point this turns and the military will join us. Not that we know guns can really kill Vecna or any of these monsters, but at least they won't be actively hurting 11 and the crew's chance by actively shooting at them. So I know that former General Sullivan, who doesn't appear to be in the final season now for whatever reason, who was on the case of 11 in last season, was completely convinced she was the source of evil here, and I guess that philosophy has transferred over to the military that's here in Hawkins now. But I just find it hard to believe that they're not going to help her at some point in this and figure out that she isn't the bad one. I get that she's the only one they're aware of, I guess, with their intelligence that has, you know, psychically made connections and killed people remotely, which was part of their explanation last season. But there's just no other basis to their accusations that 11 is evil here. But once again, it appears that they're trying to gun her down. So I hope that situation flips at some point. The next question I have is pretty specific, but it's, why does Lucas have Max outside the hospital bed in that scene where we see the Demogorgon coming around the corner? Obviously, it doesn't seem to be getting her away from a dangerous situation very well, but I'm sure Lucas is trying to do the right thing there. I guess the simple explanation for this would just be that the Demogorgons were like upstairs or wherever they're at now. Where she was in that hospital bed, they had broken in and were, going to come after him and her, both of them. And so he had to get her out of there. The more complicated explanation would be that maybe something else was happening to her while in the hospital and he was trying to just get her out of there and bring her to safety. Maybe some connection was forming between her and Vecna, and he was trying to take action to, interrupt that. And then they kind of got caught in a situation where Demogorgons are around. This one's too specific to kind of broadly theorize about, like the first couple questions I had, but I am really curious as to why and when, at least we know how she is, it's going to be by Lucas carrying her out, which is the perfect way to do it. Now we get to a real serious question, which is whose or what's blood is on Nancy's hands as they flash to her. And, Hopper's saying like, oh, no matter how bloody it gets or whatever, I need you to fight one last time. And we see Nancy's hands just covered in this blood, as you can see right here. Now, on one hand, a simple and easier on the mind explanation would be that, oh, this is a monster that she just killed's blood. She killed a Demogorgon with a shotgun, and she just has blood on her hands from it, and she's washing it off. And, she's just crying a little bit because there was a lot of commotion and, pretty stressful situation. But I don't know. The acting there from Natalia Dyer did not look like she just killed a monster. It looked like she just lost someone. She looked very distraught, upset, crying in the mirror. Obviously, no matter what, if you have blood on your hands like that, such a gory experience, you're probably going to be crying. But I don't know. It gave me the vibes that it was a human's blood. Someone died or got seriously injured in her arms, and she's crying because of that. That's the type of emotion that scene, just the couple seconds of it we see, gives off to me. We'll have to see. But I don't know. It makes me fear for, most of all, Jonathan. I think Jonathan is on the cutting block. I mentioned this in my other video, like I recommend you guys to watch. And I've said in the past that I think Jonathan is probably like the 4th or 5th most likely character to die this season, in my opinion. And this teaser trailer only made me think that's more of a possibility. And if you're wondering why I think it's Jonathan specifically and not her brother Mike, I don't know. Mike just seems too central to everything to like die and like have that type of scene after he would die, as if they were going to she's going to wash her hands and continue. You know what I mean? That scene seems to be like reflecting on something. I think it would be one of the guys, that are in that love triangle, Jonathan or Steve. And just with how much they're showing Jonathan and Nancy together in this and the emotional dialogue he had earlier in this teaser trailer, I think it stands to reason that he would more likely be the one that would be gone after this, and she's washing her hands here. But hopefully for Jonathan, Steve, whoever else could be in harm's way's sake, it's just the blood of a no-good Demogorgon or other monster. Another question I have is more timing related, because I'm just trying to figure out the workings and the execution of this season chronologically. I'm wondering, when will Eleven and Hopper branch off on their own journey? Of course, a lot of photos we've had released to us even before this teaser trailer, and now in this teaser trailer, we see Eleven and Hopper by themselves off on like these missions and these journeys, or in this underground bunker quite often. So at what point in the season is this going to happen? I mean, it's not as if we're not seeing Eleven with the rest of the characters as well. I mean, she's at the WSQK radio station with Robin, Nancy, Will, Joyce. She's talking to Mike at what seems to be Hopper's cabin. Seems like she's going to be out riding bikes with them, so she's with the crew. But at some point, her and Hopper have to go do something. My kind of thoughts about it is that they're going to go try to like train her powers before the inevitable big fight comes about. And it's also going to be like a combination of her hiding from the military as well. I think that initially they're going to go to discover something about the monsters or work on her powers, and then the military is going to get some insight on where she's at, and then it's going to become trying to evade the military. I don't think that's like the initial intention of her going into this bunker. But that's just my opinion and kind of how I'm looking at it. But certainly, I think this could be a pivotal point. I know that Ross Duffer in his Instagram post said they're not releasing that much footage from the last couple episodes. This is mostly the first 4, a little bit of 5 and 6. So obviously, this is happening sometime in the earlier half or in the middle of the season. But if it's happening kind of more toward the middle or the late middle of the season, it's reasonable to ask, could it be one of the last times she sees the crew before leaving on this duo journey with Hopper? That remains to be seen, or this could happen in like episode 2 or 3, but that would seem a bit early to me. Next, other than a directly Will, Vecna, or 11 topic, I think this is the most important question about season 5, and it's what does the radio station and the radio theme in general have to do with the plot specifically? I know that in earlier seasons, radios were a heavy theme in the show. It's how the kids communicated. It's how 11 kind of filtered voices from people in different locations or people in the Upside Down. So I do think this is going to relate to being able to communicate with 11, her being able to channel other people through the radio signal, or being able to channel her powers through it somehow, and it's going to improve her psychic abilities. But obviously I'm just more curious as to the specifics of it and how exactly it's all going to be configured. They seem to have a setup in the radio station. Steve, in the opening clip of this teaser trailer, is outside in a truck turning up the decibels. I think that Murray could play some role in this, driving around the truck as well, the Bradley's Big Buy truck, or maybe he's just kind of the transportation guy this season. Don't quite know, but I just want to know specifically how this is going to help 11, what she's going to use the radio signals for, and kind of how all the moving pieces within it are going to work. I'm so excited to see how this portion of the plot is executed by the Duffer Brothers. And then my last question is, after we get this new information of the first teaser trailer for season 5, who looks safe and who doesn't? Yes, I know. This is the question that much of the internet is going to be fixated on upon the release of the last season. I am someone who enjoys the entire show, all the details, all the writing, all the acting, all the character moments, and I think that if it's done well, I'll be all right with whoever they choose to kill off at the end of this show. But it is still thrilling and really interesting to see who probably or might die in this final season. And earlier I already mentioned that I think Jonathan looks like he's in a lot of trouble, and I don't think both of the Byers boys would die. I think that would kind of take away and diminish the earlier seasons where Joyce worked so hard to get Will back. So I think if Jonathan does go, Will won't. It's only going to be one or the other. And it could be neither, but I don't know. They're both seeming to be so heavily focused on here by the monsters and bad stuff going on around them that I think one of them will go, and my prediction is Jonathan. And if you've seen my past videos, you know that my prediction from the start has been that 11 and Murray for sure are going to be 2 of the deaths, and then there's a third wildcard death. Right now, the person I would land on is Jonathan as that third wildcard death, and I still do think those 2 others will die, but looking at the teaser trailer here, who are some people that prior to it I think are more or less likely to die? I will say Lucas looks like he's in the thick of things here, has blood all over his shirt, and there's kind of a clip of just him crawling backward there, so that scares me for him a bit. I still don't think with that connection to Max and what happened to her at the end of last season that he's going to be the one they choose to take. I think that would be a bit cruel for that whole dynamic, but that's something to keep an eye on. And I also think that Dustin and his emotional depth probably being explored this season could make him vulnerable to a sacrifice type play if Steve is in a lot of danger. Or of course one of his other friends. I just think from a writing standpoint and tying it to the rest of the story, it would make more sense if he sacrificed himself for his other older friend that has really become his best bud in the show. And I don't know why, I'm still going to stick by my prediction, but I am getting less and less convinced as time goes on that 11 is going to be the ultimate sacrifice of this show. But then again, I think the ultimate sacrifice kind of has to either be her or Will. And if Jonathan dies, I don't think Will dies. So I don't know. My theory of deaths here is getting a bit convoluted at this point, and I got to really sit with myself and make my final prediction. But as of right now, it is 11, Murray, and Jonathan. And then the people that I think looked safe previously that I still believe are 100% safe are Robin, Erica, Joyce. I don't see anything happening to those characters personally. But for the rest of them, I think it's really fair game. But alright guys, that's all I have for this video. These are some of my biggest questions and just overall takeaways from that teaser trailer we got just a couple days ago. Of course, there's only so much we can pull from these, short little pieces of footage that we get in shots of our characters, but it's still fun to theorize with you guys. Leave your new predictions for Season 5 after seeing this footage in the comments, and let me know what I should make future videos on pertaining to the information we get for Season 5. But that's all I got for today, guys. Like always, subscribe to the channel for more Stranger Things content, and I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.